so, yeah, why this series? Why now? Because the world we're living in is more uncertain. It's growing faster. It's growing messier, and fear has become ambient. It's become subtle. It's pervasive. It shapes our choices in ways we don't even know. And here's the thing. Most people underestimate their potential, not because they lack talent, but so often because we overestimate the dangers. So this series is about helping you to rewrite the internal scripts that often keep you stuck, maybe make you more stressed than you need to be, but also that sell yourself short, that shortchange not just you, but everyone around you of the person you could become. Welcome to the Live Brave podcast. I'm Margie Warrell. Here you'll learn how to live and lead with more courage in an increasingly anxious world. If you'd love to bring your bravest self to your biggest challenges and the boldest vision for your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Margie Warrell and welcome to the Live Brave podcast. Today I am kicking off something new, a new series called Courage Works. If you've been following my work over the years, my books like The Courage Gap, my work in leadership, my speaking, my blogs, you will know that I believe that courage is the singular most important capability that we can cultivate in the world that we're living in. And that's not because life has become so much harder, but because life has become more uncertain, more complex, more shaped by forces that trigger our fear long before we even recognize it. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of being cancelled, fear of looking foolish and being shamed. But here's the thing that a lot of us don't realize. Fear reprograms our priorities long before it ever rewires our performance. It nudges you to playing safe, to delaying decisions, to getting busy instead of getting bold. And often we tend to come up with reasons why we behave the way we do. It feels prudent. But avoidance doesn't protect you and doesn't protect your potential. It actually diminishes. It actually leaves you less secure. And it's why I've created this series. For 15 years, I've been writing a Forbes column called Courage Works. It's a play on words, but it's because courage does work. It works as a strategy. It works as a mindset. And yes, it works because it requires us to do inner work. And so this series is to help you do that inner work. And in the upcoming episodes, we'll explore what it is that sometimes keeps you stuck in ways you don't even realize. What it takes to expand your capacity to take action, even though you're afraid, and even though there's a chance you'll mess up, and even though there's a million little voices in your head saying, you are going to regret this. I want to give you practical tools. I also want to balance the informing of you, the educating, with the inspiring, with the encouraging. So yeah, we're going to talk about fear and identity and uncertainty and the habits that strengthen your courage at work, in your career, but also at home and in your community, in your relationships, in the conversations, perhaps those you've been avoiding for too long. Because courage isn't a personality trait. And while we might think of some people as being naturally bolder than others, ultimately courage is a learnable skill. It's also a scalable skill. It's something that we can inspire in those around us, in our teams, in our families, in the places where we want to be a force for good. It's also a daily practice. It's a discipline. It's a muscle that you grow. And the more consistently you act with the courage that you sometimes admire in others, the braver you grow over time and the bigger your life gets. So wherever you find yourself today, whether it is driving as you listen to this, on a walk, working out, or just catching your breath between a few other commitments, thank you for being here. Let's start on the path to a braver, more expansive, more meaningful, and more impactful you. Because courage works. It works when you work at it. And so, yeah, why this series? Why now? Because the world we're living in is more uncertain. It's growing faster. It's growing messier, and fear has become ambient. It's become subtle. It's pervasive. It shapes our choices in ways we don't even know. And here's the thing. Most people underestimate their potential, not because they lack talent, but so often because we overestimate the dangers. So this series is about helping you to rewrite the internal scripts that often keep you stuck, maybe make you more stressed than you need to be, but also that sell yourself short, that shortchange not just you, but everyone around you of the person you could become. For those of you who may not have listened to this podcast before, you might be going, who is Margie? And who are you to be giving us advice on how to live more bravely? Well, I have learned a lot of lessons on courage since my childhood, growing up, big sister of 7 on a dairy farm in the Aussie bush. And as I learning to ride horses, growth and comfort can't ride the same horse. And my second horse, we won in a raffle. He bucked me off. He went from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat. You may have heard this story before if you've listened to this podcast for a while. But continually just going out to that back paddock, bridling him up, saddling him up, risking falling off again, helped to build my resilience, my tenacity, my grit, and yes, my courage, which I define as our willingness to take action even though we're afraid, even though there's a chance things won't go the way we'd like them to, even though there's a little voice in our head saying, who the hell do you think you are? You might also know some of my books, The Courage Gap, my very first book, Find Your Courage, which I started writing when I had 4 kids, age 7 and under. I've also been a consultant and advisor in one of the world's largest consulting firms. I was a senior partner at Korn Ferry in their board and CEO succession practice. I have worked with leaders on Capitol Hill. I have worked with leaders at NASA. I've worked with leaders across every sector and industry, from Google and Amazon to Bank of America and American Airlines to the Australian Institute for Sport and the Australian Federal Police to Morgan and Stanley to Johnson & Johnson. Like I said, lots and lots of places. And what I've learned time and time again is the biggest thing that holds us back, leaves us and often others less secure, is not external. It is the fear that undermines the decisions we make and the actions we take. And I've also learned it from my own personal experience, raising kids around the world, overcoming my own fear so many times and constantly breaking ranks with my own comfort zone. Because growing up, I had very few role models. I had very little idea of what was possible. And I definitely developed some pretty deeply entrenched tapes in my own head about who I could be and what I could do. And so I've had to really do my own work, a lot of my own inner work, my own courage work to re-script those stories. And I still have to do it today. And so my promise for you in this series is for you to understand the unseen forces, the threat biases, the uncertainty intolerance, the deep self-protective instincts that quietly shape your decisions, to help you really understand yourself better and to grow your capacity, not only for dealing with the ambiguity and the uncertainty in the world, but for taking action that is deeply uncomfortable, for taking bold action, brave action, action that aligns with your deepest values. And of course, by bridging the research and live wisdom, by bridging head and heart, I want to help you close your courage gap. And as I defined that in my latest book, The Courage Gap, which of course, shameless plug, I hope you will get and read. It is a book that is intended to do what I'm hoping this series will do, to close your gap between knowing what it is you should do and being the person who does it, between your highest intentions and your actions, between the person you are now and the person that you most want to be. Remember, courage works because courage is what it takes to rise to meet the challenges of this moment, to pursue our boldest goals. It is a meta skill for this era. It is what's needed for leaders far beyond technical skills. It is our ability to master our inner selves. The data shows it. The research shows it. I know you'll get a lot from listening to this series. And I just want to finish by saying, in today's world, fear programs us in ways we don't even realize it. And by learning to cultivate our capacity for courage, by doing the courage work, we can rewire our brains. We can step forward more boldly, more bravely, and recognize that the biggest threat to our lives, the greatest dangers, is not all of those external things. It is the fear that quietly pulls the strings in your lives. So a little reflection for you before we go, to think about, where is fear trading your potential for security? And what might open up if you stopped waiting to feel ready, if you defied those doubts that sometimes play you small? I encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. I'd love you to share it with someone else in your life. And of course, if you feel any episode is worthy of a review, I would love you to write it. Thank you for listening, and courage works when you work at it.